All right, and next we have words of inspiration from Pastor Bob Morrissey from the Church of Clawson at Clawson. Please join us.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. Normally, when I get an opportunity to do this, I shoot straight from the hip, but I wanted to think a little more carefully tonight. I just wrote a couple things down. I promise not to be long. I thank you for the opportunity to be here. I do count it as a privilege. As a Christian pastor, I offer these words of inspiration in the form of prayer, not to persuade or divide, but to pause and to seek wisdom. Scripture teaches that wisdom does not begin with confidence in ourselves, but with humility before God. Prayer is how many of us acknowledge that we do not see everything clearly, and I know that I do not. It acknowledges that I'm limited and that leadership carries moral weight. In moments like this, prayer creates space for reflection, restraint, and care for our neighbors. And so I fully respect that some people might not pray with me, but I'm going to offer a short prayer. Dear Father, I thank you for you are the giver of wisdom and the source of truth. I thank you for this city. I thank you for its history and for the people who call it home. I ask that you would grant wisdom to those who lead, wisdom marked by justice, compassion, and integrity. Give patience where there is disagreement, courage where decisions are difficult, and humility to remember that authority is given for the good of others. God, I pray for our neighbors, for their safety, their livelihoods, and their families. I thank you for this city and for all that good that has happened here through the years. I pray that through this meeting tonight, we would treat each other with dignity and respect, even when we differ. May this city be a place where truth is spoken with grace and where the common good is pursued faithfully. Father, I ask that these things happen, trusting not in our own understanding, but in your guidance and mercy. Father, I pray for this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will have roll call, please.
Mayor Moffett,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Here.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Here.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Here.
Councilmember Slawinski, Councilmember Spisak,
Present.
and Councilmember Tinlin.
Here.
Excellent. Thank you. Next, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Spisak,
Yes.
and Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes. Excellent. We've approved the agenda for this evening's meeting. The next item on the agenda is public comment for items on the agenda. We invite those members who are here who would like to speak about items on the agenda to come to the podium. We simply ask that you identify yourself as a Clawson resident or a visitor to our fair city. You'll be given 4 minutes to speak. Just as a reminder, this isn't an opportunity for a conversation, but if you do have questions about items on the agenda, I will make a note of them and try and make sure that we address those when that agenda item comes up. So having said that, if anyone's here to speak about items on the agenda, I welcome you to the podium now.
Good evening, Council. My name is Jamie Gills Takanochi. I'm a Clawson resident. My public comment today relates specifically to the financial transparency and planning discussed in the audit packet, particularly the economic factors and next year's budgets and rates section. If you're curious, it's on page 43 of the packet, what I'm discussing. I have 2 questions regarding the long-term cost accuracy of our infrastructure bond projects and the justification for the City Hall reconfiguration, both of which require clarification to ensure accurate representation of our city's finances. First, regarding the infrastructure bond scope and the impact of inflation. I note that the current project list for the recent infrastructure bond was calculated using 2024 rates and as explicitly stated in the packet has not been adjusted for inflation. Given the sustained high rate of inflation in construction materials and labors, basing a multi-year bond program on outdated rates severely understates the actual costs of future work. This provides citizens with a misleading view of what can realistically be accomplished with the bond funds. I formally request that the governing body direct staff to incorporate a robust, realistic inflation factor into the project list and cost projections when it is updated, I believe the packet said in 2026, hopefully at the beginning of the year. This step is necessary to ensure fiscal transparency and an accurate representation of the bond's expected deliverables to the public. Second, regarding the City Hall reconfiguration, cost accuracy, and justification, my second point concerns the, I believe it was $400,000 that was allocated and carried over from the previous budget to this year for the comprehensive City Hall reconfiguration product, which includes updates to the council chambers and various other areas throughout the building. I have two questions here. My first question is on cost update, since this $400,000 figure was carried over from, I believe, the 2024-2025 budget. Has this figure been reevaluated and adjusted to account for the impact of inflation on the entire scope of the project? And then my question, I have another question about justification. The audit states that the council chamber reconfiguration part of the project is necessary to accommodate the new 7-member council. I believe this justification is misleading. I recall that in a previous public meeting around the time of the special election, this question was asked during a council meeting. And our financial director, Mark Pollock, stated that the total cost for the City Hall reconfiguration would be no different whether the council size was 5 members or 7 members. Attributing this project or the portion dealing with the chambers to the need to accommodate the new 7-member council inaccurately suggests a new cost driver or mandate. This contradicts the financial director's prior public assurance. I request the administration publicly correct and clarify the true comprehensive reasons for this $400,000 capital expenditure. Thank you for your time and for your attention to our fiscal transparency.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else who wants to speak about items on the agenda?
Sorry.
Hey everybody, Sean Nastry, Clausen resident. I rushed up here because I just happened to see the agenda on Facebook. I was so excited to see Bonnie Swope applying for the Downtown Development Authority. I could think of nobody better for this position. For what she does, she thrives. For every new business in the city that Bonnie knows about, she goes and makes some shirts and hats and stickers. Not asked for, but just something out of the goodness of her heart. She's helped with everything I've ever done in the city. She's been on so many boards and committees, and I'm out of breath because I just seriously ran up here to make this. But I thank you for stepping up, and I think Bonnie will do an amazing job for our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak to items on the agenda? All right. Seeing no one else moving towards the podium, we will go ahead and move on to proclamations and presentations. Item 7A is the ceremonial swearing in of Councilmember Alec Spishak, right? Okay, got it. What's the procedure here? I see the city clerk moving to go down and welcome him to ceremonial swear him in. His family is welcome to surround him with love and pride for everything he's accomplished. You can take pictures, you can be with him.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Wait, they're coming up. To surround him with love and pride.
I thought it was the pictures. You're welcome.
Just, we had people on ours, so.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United
the
States,
Constitution of this state,
the Constitution of the state,
the Charter of the City of Clausen,
the Charter of the City of Clausen,
and that I will faithfully perform the duties
and I will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of council member
of the office of council member
in and for the City of Clausen,
in and for the City of Clausen,
County of Oakland,
County of Oakland,
and State of Michigan,
and State of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Take some pictures with your family. I'll even duck out of the way so you can. Let's get a picture. And one more with the whole family. Come on, everybody in. Excellent. Thank you for doing that so that his family could see him. That was nice. Next. And the next item on the agenda is the annual City Administration 2025 Year in Review video.
So, Madam Mayor, this is the fourth year that we're doing this. It's gotten better and better every year. This year, instead of stills, we got a little motion. So I think it's about 7 minutes long. It's a recap of this year's highlights.
Excellent. impressed you even snuck Councilmember Specek in there. That was awesome. All right, well, thank you very much for that. Will that be available on the website to watch? Cool, cool, cool. All right. The next item on the agenda is consideration of approving the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of the minutes of the regular council meeting held on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, as presented. The minutes of the special council meeting held on Monday, December 8th, 2020. Did I say November 2nd? December 2nd, anyhow. Monday, December 8th, 2025, and the list of bills in the amount of $1,094,586.93. Can I get a motion to?
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda be approved as presented.
Support.
Excellent. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Peltonen?
No, can we have discussion first, though?
No, you can't on
When
the
do we-
consent agenda. The consent agenda, in order to discuss items on the consent agenda, they need to be removed from the consent agenda when the agenda is approved.
Oh, in the first agenda was when I was
Yeah.
supposed to do it.
So having not done that, it is what it is.
Oh,
But if you have questions, you can email them to the city manager or the clerk, and they will address those questions.
wrong time.
Okay? All right. So,
Councilmember Peltonen was a no?
Well, I mean, yeah, no, I guess. So, well,
Good questions for you. Not-
Okay.
Not now, but at the
Okay.
end of the meeting.
then yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Moffett?
yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Okay. Having approved the consent agenda, we now move on to new business. Item 9A is the fiscal year 2024-2025 financial audit presented by Yao and Yao CPAs and Business Consultants. I can, do we need a motion for the presentation?
Either way, I think you can, usually you've typically opened things up with a motion to discuss. I think receiving and
thought.
filing is fine. You will then make a vote on it at the end of the
Yeah.
presentation.
We could get a motion to discuss it, please.
Madam Mayor, I move to receive the,
Oh, if we could move to discuss.
Madam Mayor, I move to discuss the financial audit for July 2024 to June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So you are Michael Roca. I'm
correct.
terrible with names. You are the, from Yao and Yao.
Yep, Yo and
you
Yo,
ha-
that is.
Yo and Yo?
Yep.
I
Like a
said it wrong
yo-yo,
all this-
like a yo-yo.
Oh, God.
Everybody does that.
All right. Once again, how bad I am with names. Yo and Yo.
Yep.
Roca, you have a presentation.
it.
Please begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is this on? Can you all hear me?
It didn't seem like it was before. Tap it and see, the microphone part.
Hello? Are we good?
Is it? Okay.
All right. All right, well, good evening. Thank you for having me. I can speak loudly anyway. Again, my name is Mike Rolka with Yo and Yo CPAs. I'm a principal. I sit in our Troy office. I'm pleased to present the fiscal year 2025 audit to everybody and all the new faces. Congratulations to all of you. The first thing I'd like to remember to point out is that this is for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2025. So the fiscal year is July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2025. And so any of the financial statement numbers and figures reported in the packet, please remember, those are all different now because it's been several months since then. So all of the stuff that you've been reported as of late isn't going to quite jive with that. So I'd just like to clear that up. So flipping to the purpose of an audit. What is the purpose of an audit? It is for the auditors to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are materially correct. And so what does that mean? That means that there aren't major errors in the numbers, essentially. They can be relied upon by outside parties. With that, we're required to express an opinion on those financial statements. And our opinion this year is what is called an unmodified opinion. And that's what you want to hear every single year that, or anytime you have an audit really, is an unmodified opinion. That means they're materially correct. We've obtained sufficient audit evidence to support the numbers in the financial statements. It's like getting an A+ on the report card. You know, if you were in school, everybody can relate to that. With that, that is the highest level of assurance you can have with an audit or with any attestation service that a CPA can provide. Management has responsibilities over the financial statements, though, and it's important to call those out. That would be the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with GAAP. And GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. They're also responsible for the design and implementation, as well as maintenance of internal controls. Next, I'll go over a handful of slides on a very high level of the numbers, what it looks like with some trend history, and I'll just make a few comments on some of those. So on the next slide, you'll see your governmental revenues, expenditures, and fund balances for the last 5 years. There's a few things I'd like to point out here is you kind of see the gold bar going across, staying very steady in the middle. That's your fund balances, and you see it shoots way up in 2025. Well, that's because under governmental accounting, in the funds at least, bond proceeds are reported like revenues. So they're an other financing source is what they're called. So that fund balance shot way up this year because of all those bond funds that you have right now and probably have a bunch of work going on or will have a bunch of work going on. So expect that to come back down significantly over the next year or two, and then maybe shoot back up as other series are issued. You'll see here that the blue bar is revenues. They were just short of expenditures this year for the governmental funds, and across the bottom is capital outlays. So we would expect to see that capital outlay number go up significantly in the next year as projects move forward. The next slide is a representation of the governmental revenues, and it's just a snapshot of, okay, where are the sources of your revenues? What are the primary sources? It probably comes to no surprise to all of you that the biggest source is your property taxes at 60%, and that's followed up by state grants and federal grants. With the state grants, I want to point out a couple of things that are included in there because it's not just grants as you would think. It is the state shared revenue, so your constitutional revenue funds, your primary funding from the state, as well as those Act 51 funds for your major and local street funds. That flows through there as well. Federal revenues were made up primarily of ARPA funds, which we expect to come down next year. And then there's a few other classifications here, licenses and fines and charges for services. Also within the other, the green pie there, I just want to point out a few of the things that are included in there. It is mostly made up of investment income, but it also includes other revenues, contributions, fines, and rental income. The following slide is very similar to what we just looked at, just the opposite side. It's the expenses, and what does that makeup look like? Well, it's a little bit more split than the revenues, right? I'd like to talk briefly about some of the bigger ones to explain what those are made up of. The first one we'll talk about at the top is general government. That's really some of the main administrative services that you have in order to operate a city. So costs for the clerk, the treasurer, council, building and grounds. The city manager, for example, finance is included in there. Next, going to public safety, well, that one is pretty simple, mostly police and fire. Public works would be refuse collection, road projects, that sort of thing. Recreation and culture is going to be expenses related to the library and parks. Capital outlay are varying capital projects. And then the debt service is one of the major ones there as well. So that represents both principal and interest payments on your debt. And this year it also includes the issuance costs for the new bond. Moving on to what the fund balances look like over the past 5 years. Obviously here you quickly see in 2025 that shot way up. That's those bond proceeds. In the blue chart there, that's the restricted fund balance, meaning it is legally restricted by an outside force as to use. And so that's your bond proceeds. That's your Act 51 funds for the streets, that's your any special tax millages, things where you're getting a grant where it's specific to use. Anything that you guys are receiving funding for and haven't spent it yet, that is specific to something imposed by somebody else. You'll see the orange piece there is the next largest. That is the unassigned fund balance in the general fund. That can be used at council and management's will. You know, that's those funds that you can use to further the needs of the citizens. And lastly, at the top there, you see a little green bar, and that's assigned fund balances, and that just represents the amount of fund balance usage expected in the fiscal year 26 budget. So the expenditures have been budgeted higher than the revenues for 2026, at least from the original budget, and so that's assigned in this year's fund balance. Next is a trend of the enterprise funds, and that makes up the water and sewer utility fund, as well as the senior citizen housing fund. You can see virtually every year, the past few years, revenues and expenses have been very close to one another, this year included. That's usually indicative that the rates set are appropriate. The operating costs are, the operating revenues are covering the operating expenses. One of the other things I really like to look at and see here is a general increase in that gold bar going across the top. So that's your net investment in capital assets. And as you see that going up, it means there's been investment in infrastructure. There's required communications to governance, who is you all, in what we call the governance letter, and you have that included in the handouts I provided. But I'm going to go over just what some of the key highlights are, things that aren't the, boilerplate stuff that's required to be in there. The first thing I'd like to go over is what the significant estimates are used in the financial statements. And before to do that, I always like to tell boards and councils that saying an estimate is in the financial statements is not a bad word. It is not taboo. It is, in fact, impossible to create financial statements without estimation. So the most significant estimates in these financial statements are the useful lives of the capital assets. So if you were to buy a truck, do you depreciate that over 5 years, or do you choose 10 years? What is your best guess how long you'll use it? The assumptions and inputs that go into the net pension and net OPEB liabilities, so that would be mortality rates, investment rate of return, discount rate, healthcare cost trends. Many things go into those, and those can really change quite a bit if any of those assumptions are modified. Compensated absences, so accrued vacation and sick time, that is an estimate based on what is expected to be used or paid out in the future. And then administrative charges by the general fund. Moving on, there are some upcoming accounting standards, GASB standards. That would be the Governmental Accounting Standard Board. They're always very busy, keeping us busy, keeping finance departments busy. But there's two that are upcoming that you should be aware of, and they're both applicable for fiscal 2026. The first one is GASB Statement 103. That's on the financial reporting model, and it's some improvements to that. Some of the key takeaways or things you could look forward to next year is, firstly, it reestablishes what they want to see in that management's discussion and analysis. It changes some of the terminology used in the enterprise funds. So in your water and sewer fund, for example, we'll start using terms like subsidies. So that'll look a little bit different next year. And then one of the other major changes is that we will now be required to present two variance columns in the budgetary schedules. One that shows the variance between original and final budget, and the one that we currently show between actual and final budget. In addition to that, major changes are required to be footnoted and explained. So that is new.
Can you, I don't want to interrupt, but
No, go ahead.
How, you said they'll be using the term subsidies. How will that be used?
Yep, so they're going to define operating revenues and non-operating revenues and subsidies. So it's just going to be a different classification in the income statement, essentially. So if you were to get a major state grant for something, it may be called a subsidy.
Gotcha.
for
So they're
example.
just splitting it up and identifying it appropriately where the revenue came from. basically.
Correct. They're trying to help identify, how much of that fund is being subsidized versus, the operating rates are covering the operations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The next accounting standard is GASB Statement Number 104. Again, that's the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. That's related to disclosures with capital assets. I don't expect it to have a major impact on the city, but it does change a little bit of the disclosure requirements in your capital asset footnotes, particularly if you are attempting to sell something major and whether you think it'll sell within the next year, and some other terminology regarding intangible assets. Other communications, we did have one past audit adjustment, and this has been carried over since GASB Statement Number 87 came out, leases. When weighing the cost versus benefit of implementing this accounting standard, it is cost prohibitive to implement it considering the dollar amount of leases the city has. So those adjustments have been omitted. It's not that payments aren't being made, the assets and liabilities would just be grossed up. But it is a more complicated calculation than it is worth for the city's funds. Okay, this year, on the following slide, we also had what is called a single audit. And a single audit is a federal compliance audit whenever you expend $750,000 or more of federal awards in a given year. Note that goes up to $1 million for next year. They've recently increased that. And so this year, we were required to test what is commonly known as the ARPA funds. The city had total expenditures of federal awards of about $1.8 million. The major program this year was about half of that, $893,000. I'm happy to say we have an unmodified opinion on compliance over that program. Again, that's an A+ on compliance with that program. And no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies were identified as it relates to the federal awards. So I would expect you may have another single audit next year as some of these ARPA funds unwind. Lastly, there are some matters for improvement. First, I'll start with the easy thing. There were no identified significant deficiencies, but we did have one material weakness. That is a prior period adjustment. So we restated the 2024 net position of the DDA because it was identified, the city identified this, by the way. This was not something we identified. During the turnover in management at the DDA, it became, somebody became aware of a PayPal account that was off books. So none of the ins and outs were ever recorded. The actual cash balance of around $10,000 was never recorded. And we consider that a material weakness, regardless of the dollar amount, because everything should be on books. There's no chance for the city's internal controls to work if something isn't on the books. And this happened, I suppose the prior DDA director opened this and I understand used it for donations and expenses related to those. However, I don't know that any of that ever went through the city's internal controls, but it can now and it will now, and it's been corrected. That was brought to our attention by Mark, so we appreciate that. So with that prior period adjustment, it has been fully corrected. There's no additional action that needs to be taken by the city. Appropriate action has been taken, but because we've restated 2024, it is a material weakness. And it's important because if something's not on the books, it just opens up the city to potential fraud. Lastly, I already said lastly, but we'll have another lastly.
Part two.
Yeah, two lastlies. First, I want to thank everybody on council. Thank you for choosing Yo and Yo. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Mark, and everybody involved in the audit. They did a tremendous job, and I think it's really important that everybody knows how much work it is to get ready for an audit. I suppose you may know. But it is a tremendous amount of work to prepare for an audit, to be ready for an audit, and they were very ready. We truly appreciate that at Yo and Yo. I did have one question posed to me ahead of time related to internal controls and a potential internal control study. So we look at internal controls as a part of our audit every single year for the purpose of risk assessment and evaluating, are there internal controls in place? But we don't give an opinion on internal controls under the auditing standards we're required to follow. There was a question about a potential internal control study. It's possible and you could do that. I don't think it is necessary, but I would never stop you all from doing that if you believe it is important to you. But the internal controls in place here at the city, they're solid, and I think the checks and balances are in place, and there's segregation of duties. With that, I'm happy to take any other questions.
So, two questions. Just in the last part, you said you don't believe that it's necessary. Can you expand on why you do not believe it's necessary?
Yeah, I think the internal controls right now are appropriately in place with checks and balances, so there's multiple levels of review of every invoice that goes out, for example. And council approves, and I assume you guys get a list of every invoice with your consent agenda. That's just an example. There's reviews of bank reconciliations every month, so there's controls in place to identify and correct errors.
Gotcha. And my second question, actually, is, Mr. Riker, there was a resident who asked a question about some of the verbiage. Would you prefer to address that during your city manager comments, or do you want to address that now?
If you can refresh my memory as to what the verbiage is.
Yep, so she was asking about, there is a paragraph in your statement where it talks about the fact that the list of projects for the infrastructure bond and how there was not inflation applied and all that stuff. And so the question was, how will that be adjusted to get, because that was based on 2024 rates is what it says, correct? Go ahead.
I'll just give a little preface.
Okay.
That's the management's discussion and analysis that we do not provide an opinion on that. So
That's
Correct.
I'll let
Yeah,
Joe have it.
That's why,
Yeah, so in regards to the, I believe it's the request to have an inflationary factor in on that list. So that was talked about in advance and taking into account several factors that were all going to be variable throughout the duration of the project list. It was decided to use the rates at the time that the bond was going forward. So we do know that there could be an inflationary factor. We also know that we may be getting a performance on the actual projects being done. There may be cost underrides or overrides. You will have performance in regards to bond revenue from interest. We don't know exactly how that's going to be. So they're all unpredictable. And so the decision was made to just go with the rates so that it was understood to the everyday citizen what the cost would be. We also have the factor of the CCTV project, which is coming in under budget as we speak right now. So a myriad of factors. We didn't want to muddy the water any more than it would by putting this list out there, and we thought that was the best approach was to go with the rates at the time, the cost projections at the time.
I think perhaps the end goal of her question was, when do you expect that it'll be updated and revised based on the CC, with the cammering and for new inflation, that sort of thing?
So I would think, we just have Elmwood is the big project right now that I would say probably in 2026, after all the projects in the northwest corner of town are complete or near completion, which is the water, sewer, the roads, Leandria School, Dreon Langley School, and a couple other ones in there. We have to get our completion rate done a little bit more before we can actually kind of see what our performance is like, and then maybe adjust after that.
So kind of after the next top 4 or 5 projects are done, then there'll be a new revision of that. And then the, also was asking about the reconfiguration of the City Hall. And I know that that included not just the dais here, but there was going to be some security things that were put in place and a whole bunch of stuff. And so what's your
Yeah, I think I shared with you in a previous Friday feedback that when we went out for bid on this entire package, it came back grossly out of budget, and so we're back to the drawing board as far as adjusting this dais. I think I shared that in a previous Friday feedback as well. Once that is complete, then my focus is we have some safety issues that need to be addressed, and that is a priority.
So sometime like after the new year, Q1, early, mid Q1, something like that?
We will see. So, I don't know for sure
TBD.
yet.
So,
Yes.
and just for everybody's edification, he did mention that there was some new idea of how to reconfigure the dais significantly cheaper than it was before and fit everybody up here. And so that's something that they're working on. So those funds will be reallocated and adjusted
Yeah.
going forward, early Q1 or something like that,
That-
mid Q1, something like that.
That part is just a simple Band-Aid that we can fix so that we don't have a smaller table out here in front of us. The bigger issues will be in regards to security, and I'll leave it at that.
And that's a valid point. And it wasn't just about the council, it was about some security concerns, I think in particular with the financial director's office and things like that were some of the things they were looking to address as well with some of those funds. And that's what made it more expensive, not just us lovely people up here, right? So, all right, cool. Let's go through, everyone's moved around, but Councilmember Tinlin, did you have anything you wanted to?
No, I just appreciate it. I do auditing in my private sector, so I enjoyed reading your report, so it was very educating.
You're the first one.
Yeah, I know. My wife is probably cringing right now because I have audit reports laying around the house everywhere, but thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spishak.
Yep. No, reading through it, everything, in my eyes look good. I appreciate going through the audits because I've been through them and they're no fun sometimes. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rinkovic.
Just a couple things, and thank you very much. I'm the person who had questions about internal controls. Back to that a little bit. I appreciate the information, and I wanted to follow up. So something we discussed in the email, the annual audit provides limited testing of, if any, on internal controls. I understand it's not designed to detect or look at those types of things. And no opinion has been expressed. And I've learned we've never had an internal control review here in Clawson.
Okay.
So, not a comprehensive one. So, given the material weakness that we identified, I understand it was the DDA and that the city caught it, which is awesome. But we do have significant funding streams like ARPA, multi-year bond proceeds. We have a predominantly new council, upcoming transitions potentially in the finance department. It just seems like a really appropriate time, given we've never had one, to maybe take a step or consider something along those lines. Again, as part of governance here as a council. And my goal is to just make sure council has the clarity and assurance we need to support strong governance up here and continuity as the city moves through a lot of these changes. So that's why I had reached out earlier, and I kind of thought, we thought it was a good idea, and I guess now I'm like, okay, I don't understand why it's not maybe a good idea now. So if you could speak to the council, maybe explain to those up here who don't know what an internal control review, like a high level, or what that is.
So we do a significant amount of review of internal controls as a part of our audit. That's a big portion of how we help identify risks and then make procedures to address those risks. Especially when we have a single audit, we do test the controls, but we're not pining on the controls. We're pining on the compliance over the federal funds. So we do look at the internal controls, including bid documentation, approvals, all of that sort of stuff. I don't know of any governments in the state that get a separate internal control audit by which they get an opinion on their internal controls. That's usually reserved for public companies, probably what you're going through with Sarbanes-Oxley. Excuse me. And I don't think that there's any gap in controls right now. One thing I do want to call out is the material weakness that we found. No matter how many controls were in place here, it would have happened regardless, because that was one person going out and making a bank account or PayPal account, rather, same thing in my mind. I don't think that the control structure that's in place would warrant necessarily the cost of an internal control study. Anytime my clients ask me about it, though, of course, we'd be happy to help and do that sort of a thing. But there are controls in place.
Okay.
Were you on our account when the first year that you guys audited us?
Yes.
Wasn't there I think there was some things that were identified at that time with check approvals or seconding checks or something like that? There were a couple.
You're stretching my memory here, but I know there were some policies. Do you
Yeah.
remember, Joe?
Yeah, actually, there was a handful, I think it was about 3 audits back. There was a request for, and I'm horrible with this word, it's e-sheets?
Oh, a sheeting stuff.
sheeting, yeah,
Yes,
that
a
was-
sheeting, pardon me. There was a credit card policy, and there was also one other one, Mark, if you can help me out. But, so they have looked at our internal controls over the last 4 years, and any recommendations that were observed and made, we've adhered to and adjusted to.
That's what made me think of it, that I guess so the understanding is you don't go in, like, I'm on the other side, I'm involved in a lot of audits at work, and I don't like you
okay.
people at all. But I get that as part of, you're not looking for things that aren't going right, but when you go, oh, these things aren't being processed right, because you need to do things differently. So it's not like the goal of the audit, but it's the
It is a
product of the
byproduct.
byproduct, exactly, of the
yes.
audit. And so that's how, if controls were out of whack, we'd have much more byproducts.
We would have had a lot of
Yeah.
journal entries to propose as well. You know, that would be indicative of a poor control environment. So, of course, Joe, I'm glad you brought
Yeah,
that up.
no, you
Anytime
refined
we
it.
see anything, we would bring it to your attention or management's attention at a minimum, yes.
Okay.
And that's why I think over the last 4 years, we've gotten better and better, is because of the communication, the preparedness, and the continuity. The fact that our internal controls are the ones that discovered this issue and brought it to your attention. Those are intangible internal controls called integrity that you don't get from just everybody.
Any other comments, questions? You good?
I think so. I
Awesome.
just feel
All
like
right, well,
I've
you get
gotten
back to us if
different
you're not.
messages, yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Kind of piggybacking off that a little bit. Is there, so you got the unmodified opinion, material weakness. Is there an opinion that you issue that you would say would trigger, we need to do a single, what do you call it, the internal controls audit?
I don't know that it would be a part of the opinion. It would be more of a recommendation if we see things that are kind of out of whack. So if we come in here and we see that no disbursements are being approved, the banks aren't being reconciled timely, the tax collections aren't being dispersed to other entities in a timely fashion in accordance with state law, then we might suggest that sort of thing. But it wouldn't go in the opinion because we're not giving any opinion on internal controls. Now, had you had, say, a qualified opinion or an adverse opinion, which are bad words you never want to hear, it could be indicative of that and lead to that, but it still wouldn't necessarily result in it.
Okay.
Because even if we found 45 journal entries and it was for millions of dollars, at the end of the day, hopefully those financial statements would have been materially correct, and so we could still opine unmodified on it.
Okay.
Does that help?
Oh, yeah, it
Okay,
did. Yeah.
okay.
And then just asking about the PayPal. So you said the city found it, you didn't find it, and that's
Correct.
because we hand over what we have in the books, and if it's not in the books, you're just not gonna.
Yeah.
You're not gonna. Okay.
Right, but usually everything's running through, but the way that this worked, and correct me if I'm wrong, as I understand, there was a PayPal account that the DDA used to collect donations, and then they made the purchases out of there. So none of that activity went through the city's books at all, and nobody was aware of it.
Okay, but you said everything's locked down now. It's,
It is
it's
now,
back.
yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yep,
That's all I had. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Councilmember Peltonen.
No, I didn't really have any questions.
All right.
My favorite questions.
So if there's no more discussion, then if we can get a motion to receive and file.
I'm moving slow here, sorry.
I move to receive and file the financial audit for July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025.
Second.
Further discussion needed? Awesome. Could we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Spishak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinian,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltonen.
Yes.
All right. All set. Thank you so much for
Yes.
all your time and your patience with answering all our questions. It's greatly
Of course.
appreciated.
That's what I'm here for. Thank you all very much. We truly appreciate it at Yo and Yo working with you guys. Thank you very much, and congratulations to all the new faces once more.
Thank you. And now
Have a
I
good
know how to
evening.
say it. I've been saying yow and yow for years, so
It's okay. We have little yo-yos that we give out to help people remember.
I don't have one.
Next time, I'll bring some. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
everybody.
All right. We have approved and agreed to receive and file the financial audit for the July 1, 2024 to June 30, 2025 year. So that is all set. We'll move on to agenda item 9B, which is consideration of approving the land division request to split the property commonly known as 406 South Weebick, parcel ID 16-25-04-104-018.
Madam Mayor, I move that the land division request to split the property commonly known as 406 South Webick, parcel ID 162504-104-018, into two 50-foot wide by 146 feet deep parcels of Lot 189 of Kenwood Gardens subdivision be approved as presented.
Second.
Nick, is this yours?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. A request has been made by David Gans of Winnick Homes to split the property commonly known as 406 South Weebick, parcel ID 16-25-04-104-018. The lot that is proposed to be split is currently 100 feet wide by 146 feet deep, and the proposed lot split would result in two lots that are both 50 feet wide by 146 feet deep. The proposed lots will be compliant with the standards of the R2 single-family residential district in lot size and width. The applicant is proposing the split in order to develop two single-family homes. Joe Tangari from Giffords Webster provided a review of the proposal and determined that the lot split is in compliance with our ordinances. I'm happy to answer any questions, and the applicant is also present if there are questions.
So, as I recall, back in the day when we made that ordinance for when you could split the lots, the idea was that it had to be consistent with the average lot size in the surrounding area of that property. And so, because the intention of putting that ordinance in place was that we have these beautiful large lots and we don't want them all chopped up. So we tried to create an ordinance so that if people wanted to split those lots to, as in this case, it looks like they're going to sell one, keep one, whatever, that it not be detrimental at all to the community and the spirit of the neighborhoods that they're in. And so the gist of all that is that this complies completely with what was said in that ordinance. They meet the criteria, and so the Giffords and Websters didn't have any concerns about it. We go through, does anyone have any questions?
I got a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Did this go through the planning commission at all, or just comes to council when we decide to split up the lots?
Land division goes directly to city council.
And is there any notification in the neighborhood of those lots? Because I went by it, and it's going to be interesting as you divide them into two, 3 separate lots there, because there's an existing home right there.
So there is not any of that, but there is a parcel to the north that is also 50 feet wide by 146 feet. And so the applicant for this project, and he can confirm, is looking to acquire both these lots, then develop 3 single-family homes there. So that's the intent. And again, the lots are compliant with the minimum lot size, lot width, which is not always common here with some of our smaller lots.
All right, that was my questions.
Thank you.
Looking at any other questions or comments? Did the applicant want to make any statements or say anything?
Happy to answer any questions. I think Nick detailed, there's actually the 100-foot lot, and the same homeowner owns the 50-foot vacant lot to the north. I don't know the history why it was a 50.
I was just gonna ask that,
I don't know
yeah.
the history why this was a 100-foot lot, but every lot along Weebick and that whole area, they're all 50-footers, so everyone's gonna be consistent.
So is the house that's there staying there?
No, that's gonna be demolished.
Oh, okay.
That's, we've already contacted DT and consumers and getting disconnects, and we'll build 3 new homes.
And then, Nick, the new homes, the site plans for the new homes, they all have to go through planning to get approval, right, or
So
no?
single-family homes do not go through the planning
Okay.
process. So that's just your regular building permit. We check that for compliance with our standards. So anything commercial or
Gotcha.
multifamily goes to the planning commission, but single-family homes does not.
Just goes to planning and it's bumped up against the ordinances to make sure it complies with
Yes.
everything?
Now, if Mr. Gans was looking to build a
Palace?
45-foot wide home and they had a variance, it would go to the ZBA, but from conversations we had, he wants to comply with the ordinance as presented.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll leave this with you. These are renderings representative of the homes we're gonna build.
Okay, all right, fine. You can give them to the city clerk if you want to. and Awesome. All right. If there's no other questions, comments, or concerns?
I'll just make a comment.
Okay.
I drove over there, and this lot is kind of out of place. It's huge, and I'm looking right down the graphic on Webic. They're all 50 foot, so I support the split because it kind of brings this lot into the character of that neighborhood closer. So that's my only comment.
Thank you.
I just have one quick comment, though. So we're talking about splitting it, but you're talking about putting 3 homes.
There's a 100-foot lot.
Okay.
And the sellers also own a
Okay.
existing
Another one,
50-foot
okay.
vacant lot
So it's
next
like
door.
150,
Right.
so got it,
There'll be
okay.
3.
Just wanted to make sure, got
We're
it.
not putting 3 houses on the 2.
Thank you. I grew up here and I've seen that happen, so just wanted to make sure.
Awesome, all right. If there's no other comments, questions, or concern?
I'll say, it sounds like what they did on Washington across from the middle school, and I think it turned out nice. It was like 3 houses just popped up.
Awesome, all right, if we could have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Spielschak?
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin?
Yes.
Mayor Moffett?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke?
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton?
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich?
Yes.
Awesome, all right, we have approved the land split to the property commonly known as 406 South Weebick into 2 50-foot wide by 146 deep parcels of lot at 189 of Kenwood Garden subdivision is approved. Thank you so
very
much for coming
Thank
today.
you, Nick, and I wish everyone a happy holidays and a happy, healthy new year.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda is item 9C, and that's consideration of the 2026 schedule of public meetings. There's a motion for that.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the 2026 schedule of public meetings for the City of Clawson boards and commissions be approved and presented, posted on the City Hall bulletin board, and posted online.
Second.
All right. So this is a requirement of the OMA, the Michigan Open Meetings Act, that we have to annually adopt the meeting schedule for all boards and commissions. As noted, that so the city council is the other one with, oh no, there's another asterisk. There's just some asterisks in the notes. One is for the city council because there's an election in August and an election in November of next year. So we won't have that first Tuesday meeting. We would just have the third meeting in those months. And then just an asterisk for the historical commission. January's meeting will be held in February. Just cause, or do we know? I guess just cause. Any questions, comments about the schedule? It was as presented in the packet. All right. If no questions, comments, or concerns, let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
All right. We have.
You missed one.
Councilmember Spieshak.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Got to get used to it all. So we have approved the 2026 schedule of public meetings for the City of Clawson boards and commissions, and they will be posted on the City Hall bulletin board and posted online for future reference. Awesome. All right. Agenda item 9D. Consideration of appointment of Scott Manning to the Compensation Committee to an unexpired term of July 1, 2022 to expire July 1 of 2027. If I could get a motion.
Yeah. I move the appointment of Scott Manning to the Compensation Commission to the unexpired term of July 1st, 2022 to expire July 1st, 2027 be approved.
Second.
Any discussion? I'll ask after the next one. If no discussion, let's have a roll call.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Spieshak.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
We just have approved Scott Manning to the Compensation Committee to an unexpired term of July 1, 2022 to expire July 1, 2027. Welcome to the Compensation Committee. Item 9E is consideration appointment of Jennifer Perkins to the Compensation Committee to an unexpired term of July 1, 2025 to expire July 1 of 2030. Can I get a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move the appointment of Jennifer Perkins to the Compensation Commission to the unexpired term of July 1, 2025 to expire July 1, 2030 be approved.
Second.
So my question is does this give us a full compensation committee? Or we have one more?
Yes, it will give you a full board,
Full board?
5 members.
Yay, well done. All right. So if this is approved, we will have a full compensation committee finally. Any questions, comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Yes.
Councilmember Spieshak.
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin.
Yes.
Mayor Moffett.
Yes. All right, we have just approved Jennifer Perkins to the Compensation Commission to the unexpired term of July 1, 2025 to expire July 1, 2030, and we now have a full Compensation Commission. Excellent. Thank you, Michelle, for your help in wrestling that down. I appreciate it. All right, item 9F is consideration of the appointment of Bonnie Swope to the Downtown Development Authority to an unexpired term to expire October 31st of 2028.
Okay. Well, I move the appointment of Bonnie Swope to the Downtown Development Authority to the unexpired term to expire the unexpired term to expire October 31st, 2028 be approved.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Hearing none. If we could have roll call, please.
Councilmember Pelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
Yes.
Councilmember Spisak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Yes.
Welcome, Bonnie, to the Downtown Development Authority. Look forward to all the contributions you will make to that. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve. We've approved that, if I didn't say it. Bonnie has been appointed. Item 9G is consideration of the draft of the joint proclamation language recognizing the renewal relationship between the Clawson Public Schools and the City of Clawson. If we could have a motion for discussion.
Madam Mayor, I move that the draft language of the proclamation recognizing the renewed relationship between the Clawson Public Schools and the City of Clawson be approved as presented.
Second.
Excellent. Councilmember Rinkovic, I believe you're our liaison to this board. Do you have things you want to share?
Well, I think this is just an updated, last we talked, Joe, this was just updated from,
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
I could, I think we
Yeah.
should probably get back to the way that we've been doing things for the 4 years that I've been here. In the summary and the rationale, that is the city managers, I explain these things. And so I know there's some freelancing going on here, but if we could please. So summary and rationale for the request. The Clawson Public School and the City of Clawson continue to recognize the importance of the harmonious and collaborative relationship between their administrations. Both administrations are requesting their respective governing bodies agree to meet regularly to foster this partnership and wish to readopt a proclamation recognizing our continued relationship at the joint meeting on January 12, 2026. Both administrations are suggesting to their governing bodies to approve the draft language of the attached proclamation recognizing our continued relationship as presented. It will officially be adopted by both governing bodies at the joint meeting of the council and the school board. The superintendent and myself contributed to the updating of this language.
Mr. Riker, am I the chair of this meeting?
You are.
Thank you. So we will run it going forward in the way that I deem appropriate. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. Is there anything else, any discussions about this statement? No comments, concerns, questions? Go ahead.
Other than my name being misspelled at
Yes.
the bottom.
Oh.
Thank you.
Brought to my
Other than
attention.
that, no.
Correct that.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right. If we could have a roll call.
Councilmember Rinkovich,
yes.
Councilmember Spisak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Pelton.
Yes.
All right, we have just approved the draft language of the proclamation recognizing the renewal relationship of the city public schools and the City of Clawson be adopted as presented. All right. That concludes our items of new business. Next item is unfinished business, and we don't have any unfinished business. So our next item on the agenda is public comment for items not on the agenda. Once again, welcome members of the community to come forward to the podium. This time, you are welcome to speak about items that are not on the agenda. You will have 4 minutes to speak. We do ask that you identify yourself as a resident or a non-resident visitor to this fair city. And just a reminder that it is not a back and forth, but if there is something that you are looking for information on, we will try and make a note and make sure that it gets addressed somehow during the remainder of this meeting. Is there anyone here who would like to speak to items not on the agenda?
Hello again. Jamie Gills, Takanochi, Clawson resident. So, council, I want to sincerely thank the 2 council members who continue to advocate for a comprehensive review of the recent city manager's contract addendum. One who supports the city attorney to address Act 317 specifically, and another who correctly identifies the need for independent counsel. Your focus on sound governance is appreciated. My request today is not intended to be adversarial, but to offer a prudent, necessary pathway forward that protects this council and every resident from future legal liability. I understand that the council voted against independent counsel previously, and I believe that there are internal concerns that any outside counsel might face resistance, or that the current administration, meaning the city attorney and the city manager, may not be fully cooperative. However, using the fear of internal obstruction as a reason not to pursue oversight represents a significant governance failure. Our duty is to fix that internal fracture. We must acknowledge that the city attorney, while highly valued, has publicly stated his role is to defend the city till death do us part. Respectfully, when an allegation involves a key staff member's contract, the attorney's role as defender creates an immediate conflict, limiting his ability to give the council objective, independent risk assessment. This is not a judgment on his integrity, but an acknowledgement of his ethical bounds. Council has a non-delegable fiduciary duty to protect our public assets. We are simply asking you to proceed with the due diligence expected of every public body. After I'm done speaking, I will submit the email I sent to all council members this past Saturday, which contains my request for a written legal opinion. I ask that this document be officially entered as a matter of public record. I urge the council to formally direct the city attorney to provide the detailed written answers requested in this letter. Finally, I will state clearly, for the city attorney's legal opinion to be considered sufficient for risk management and valid for public assurance, it must, at a minimum, cite the exempting statutory section of Act 317, demonstrate its non-applicability to the facts, and formally certify in writing that no conflict of interest exists under the rules of professional conduct. Taking this action allows the council to demonstrate responsible governance, remove the liability risk, and move forward with clarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak about items not on the agenda? Seeing no one moving towards the podium, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment for items not on the agenda. The next item is the city clerk's report.
Thank you. The only thing tonight is I want to discuss boards and commissions once again. We still, although we filled the compensation commission with our 5 members and hope to have a meeting soon, we still have, we still have 2 vacancies on the zoning board of appeals for the alternate positions, which means there are positions that will fill in an absence of one of the 5 members. They're allowed to participate in discussion but not vote. So they're actually an active part of the zoning board if they so wish. But it's not just a alternate position. It would be to be involved in it. But those 2 seats are open.
Can I ask you a question
currently.
about that? Those alternates, do they like come to all the regular meetings and then they just don't have voting rights?
They
or
can come.
Okay.
Yes, they can participate.
Okay.
They're allowed to participate, just not vote.
Okay.
You're only allowed to have the 5 vote.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'd have to ask Mr. Stepnitz if the alternates are attending, but I think we've been lacking a few lately.
Well, we don't currently have alternates, but they're definitely encouraged to come to the meeting. That way they're aware of what's going on, what type of variances are being discussed and brought up at that time, and that way they're just maintaining that understanding of how the ZBA works. Because a lot of the time when you're an alternate, you're appointed there, it's your first board, so you're getting used to the meeting. So just kind of sitting up on the dais, understand how the meeting flows. So we really encourage the alternates to come into all the meetings.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
And then just the other 3 are expiring at the end of this year on 12/31/25. So those seats are open. There will be 2 on Planning Commission and 1 on Zoning Board, which are the ones that were nullified, at least 2 of them were at that one meeting. So those are coming up. Obviously, we won't do anything with those until January's meeting. When the applications come in for any of the boards and commissions, I will forward them to all council So you are aware, I understand that, the mayor's the one that will make that, suggestion or that appoint, what to put on the agenda. However, all of you get the same applications. You'll receive them in full. We obviously redact personal information from what we put in the packet for reasons of, just privacy of those phone numbers and addresses and such. You do receive them all. You receive the full application when it comes in. So as we're receiving them, I'm sending them out to you as quickly as I do, and we save them in a folder, up until appointments are done. So just so that you know the process of that. And I think I explained to you that I will send them all under blind copy, just so that we avoid any reply all. And that's why, you're only seeing yours come up, so that it saves from somebody responding back to me by accident or whatever. It's just to save that. So I let you know my last email. That's how I'd be sending them.
I appreciate that. Is there, what about the ethics committee? Is there openings on that? And someone had mentioned to me that we're due to have a meeting for the ethics committee?
So there is no openings right now currently.
Okay.
It is a full board. However, getting a quorum of board is a problem.
Okay.
I've yet to be able to get a quorum of board. So, we haven't had an item to present before them. However, the year kind of got away from us. We should have had a meeting just to appoint officers, to elect the chair, and so forth. However, we didn't have any items to present, so that kind of just slipped under the radar. However, I have attempted several times to have a meeting. It's hard to get the quorum. I can't have a meeting without a quorum, so even though we have a full board there, we have to get a quorum. So we're going to shoot for January meeting. I have been in touch with some of the board members. It's rough right now at the end of the year with the holidays, and I get it. I totally get it. I was trying to get one squeezed in before the end of the year. It's just I don't think it's going to be feasible. So we're going to try to set one up in January, probably the first week in January when we get back from all the holidays. And the meeting would be generally just to do that, to elect their officers, and to have the city attorney review the ethics ordinance as it was modified, and maybe talk about roles and responsibility of the ethics board, because that seems to be like an unknown area, and I think that there needs to be some direction given. So we'll try to address that at that meeting.
So you said you've had trouble getting a quorum. But the people that you're talking to are still interested in serving, right? It's just everybody's busy.
As far as I'm aware, I have not, everyone has responded to me yes or no on the date that I picked, and I get it. It was, the holidays was a rough time, and people already had their plans. But let's see how it goes in January. There has been a problem before with the last ethics complaint that we had getting a quorum together for that, even for that meeting. So we need to take a look at that. Maybe it's just kind of pulling the board together and explaining to them the roles and responsibility of the board, and getting the information out there to them. And then once we do that, that will probably help the board, know what their purpose is and move forward. Perfect. It is rather a new board, so it's not like one that we've had for a very long time, so it's I think there's some unknowns still.
Sure, definitely. Thank you very much, appreciate that. The city attorney's report.
Good evening, my name's,
Get it.
My name's Kara Crofton-Velosic. I'm here on behalf of Rennis tonight.
Maybe.
Should I pick it up? There.
Perfect.
All right. So Rennis wanted me to address an issue that's been coming up apparently about Act 317 and the negotiations of the city manager for his employment agreement with the city council. It's the city attorney's opinion that Act 317 does not prohibit a city manager from negotiating or benefiting from his own employment agreement. And that is because while he does qualify as a public servant under Act 317, he's not a member of city council, but there are exceptions under MCL 15.323, which allows contracts if the public servant discloses their interest and the contract is approved by a 2/3 vote of the governing body, excluding the interest of the member's vote. That is also, you can read about that in the Attorney General Opinion number 5768. There's another exception under MCL 15323A, which also provides an exception for a city, village, township, or county with a population of less than 25,000 people, which Clausen would fall under that category. And there's also an Attorney General Opinion there relevant to that, and it's Attorney General Opinion number 7295. So therefore, it is our opinion, the city attorney's opinion, that Section 317 does not prohibit the city manager from negotiating or benefiting from his own employment agreement, given the referenced laws and opinions.
All right, thank you very much. Is that it? Any questions for the?
Yeah, I have a question. So he said that verbally last meeting. Can we have it in a written format? I'm a black and white type of guy, so can we have that on a letterhead with those exact statements so we can look at it too, versus a verbalization?
Yes.
Would that be part of just the minutes of the meeting, Michelle? His document, or are we going to send it out separately, or how are we going to distribute that?
This is kind of in note form right now,
Okay.
so we'll have to put together a formal opinion
Oh,
and
and
send
then
it
he'll
out.
send us a formal opinion maybe
Sure.
with the, okay, perfect.
Yes.
Does that work?
Yep, that works for me.
Thank you, appreciate that. Any other questions, comments? All right, moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me start with last week's snowfall that created a bit of a mess and generated many complaints. The Clausen DPW prides itself in snow removal, and the end result from the snowstorm from last Wednesday was not ideal. The policy of the DPW and most surrounding municipalities is that any storm that has snowfall under 4 inches, we will maintain the roadways with rock salt and de-icing agents. We do not typically plow any subdivisions or side streets unless snowfall hits 4 inches or more. In the cases of snowfall reaching 4 inches or more, we typically try to have the majority of the snow on the ground before we commence plowing. In the storm that began early Wednesday morning, the Clausen Police Department called in our salt trucks at approximately 1:30 a.m. When police call for salt, we have 2 drivers come in to maintain the city roadways. For reference, normal calls for salt take 2 drivers approximately 4 to 4.5 hours to cover the entire city. Prolonged calls, like the storm that took place Wednesday, our 2 drivers kept the major roads and the city buildings open until 6:30 a.m. when the remaining crews came in. We use multiple different weather apps and forecasts to help determine what methods we are going to use for snow removal. At 6 a.m. at the DPW, measurable snow was at 2.5 inches, and the forecast was calling for the snow to switch to rain wintry mix and temperatures to rise to above freezing and be that way until nightfall. The storm on Wednesday was tracking very similar to the storm from Sunday, November 30th, when we received approximately 3 inches of snow. For reference, we did not plow on that Sunday either, staying within our policy but utilizing rock salt and de-icing agents for the snow and ice removal. Due to the lesser than projected snowfall at the time our crew started and the forecast calling to switch to rain and above freezing temperatures, the decision was made to not plow the side streets but to use our normal methods of salting the interior roads. All streets should have been salted using our intermittent salting techniques. We salt every intersection and stop sign and salt periodically down the road. The traffic tends to carry the salt further in each direction, helping disperse the salt. When we left for the day, we were trending in the right direction. Mother Nature, however, had other ideas. There was a bit of a flash freeze in the area that took place around 7 p.m., which created the situation, generating these complaints. The result from the storm on Wednesday, according to our app, said that the accumulation was between 2.8 and 3.3, and we stayed within our policies. What we believe would help with the temperatures above freezing and rain to wash down the snow turned detrimental upon the flash freeze. By this point, we were in a lose-lose situation. Even if we had the forethought to plow the streets just before or during the flash freeze, we would have received more likely complaints for having created ice dams at the end of everyone's driveway. Thankfully, the weather is trending to be above freezing during the day for the next few days. I'm going to transition now to Elmwood construction. The intersections, sidewalks, and driveway approaches remain to still need to be poured. That That is our hope and intention is this all occurs tomorrow. Once those are complete, the curing time will be between 10 to 14 days, depending on the weather. Rochester Road, all new water main pipes are in the ground, and we are awaiting pressure and bacteria testing, which is the standard requirement for all new water mains. This project is a new pipe and upgrade from 6-inch to 8-inch in conjunction with the road diet resurfacing that will occur this spring. Please keep in mind, yard waste pickup ends tomorrow, December 17th, Wednesday. Pending any questions, that's my brief.
Any questions? All right. Our next item is city council comments. Since we're all in a different place, let's start with Councilmember Peltonen.
All right. I kind of had a hunch. So what I was going to ask to be removed previously from the consent agenda was the minutes, because there's a part that says the mayor and council all gave their comments on each candidate during the special meeting where we did the interviews, and that just, we didn't get a chance to say anything about the candidates. So I wanted to take, I guess, now to finally say why I voted the way I did. When we first decided to run, Alec reached out to every candidate and met up and had coffee. I thought he was nice, but I mean, I didn't really get a whole lot from right away. And then as I got to know him and see him throughout the community, see him live up to some of the stuff he did, when I heard that he volunteered for Open to Close on Clausen Fest, I didn't believe that he would actually do that. And then I heard, oh yeah, he did it and he was incredible while doing it. And it was just like, all right, maybe this guy is like as good as he seems. And then he and his wife Beth ran such an incredible campaign that it was almost like what else should we do? Like they did a really good job. And I believe that's why the Clausen voters would have voted him number 5 if they had 5 votes. I met Scott Manning personally at long time ago at the Clausen United Church, Methodist Church in the fellowship hall, where Brad Irwin put on a little get together to tell people how to run, like what to do. You know, he's part of who helped with he was on the Charter Commission, yes. So he came and said like he would do his part to kind of help people out. And I met Scott there. I was very impressed with him, all of his school board knowledge, his ambitious attitude, and just all around, if you've ever met him, you would know he is a great person as well and would be great on council. And Glenn Shepard, I had always really appreciated his advocacy for trees and green space. I didn't care for his behavior at the special surprise meeting that we had, but I had a lot of residents that I respect and have known for a long time reach out and tell me that they wanted Glenn Shepard on the council. So I put Glenn as my number 2, and I put Alec as my number 1, just because I think that that's what the people in Clausen wanted. So I just wanted to put that out there. That's all.
All right, thank you. Just as a housekeeping item, I would say that going forward, when you notice something wrong with the minutes, you can always preemptively email the city clerk, and so she can correct and reissue the packet in the minutes. So that's always, I get you wanted to also make your statement, but just going forward for all of us, if that is an issue, we can always take care of it that way, and she'll reissue so that we can get it cleared up, so that when we come to the meeting, it's taken care of and we don't have to send it back or anything like that. So just, yeah.
Noted.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke.
Nothing. Well, everybody have a safe holiday. I look forward to 2026 and, continuing this public engagement. It's great. So, yeah, everybody have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you in 2026.
Thank you. Councilmember Rinkovic.
Yeah, I have a couple things to note. So I want to acknowledge the concerns from the residents about the weather event. I do appreciate the city manager providing council with a very detailed explanation, and also to those that reached out to City Hall. But just want to highlight an important consideration going forward that should be at the forefront when we look at these types of things in the future, and that's life safety. I'm the spouse of a first responder in a neighboring municipality, and it hits home. So my husband's department lost 3 out of 4 firefighters on one shift at one station due to weather-related slip and fall injuries this past month. And so when I read that the Clawson Police Department was calling in salt trucks at 1:30 in the morning, that signals to me that conditions were compromising life safety. So I'm all about policies and procedures, but policies like the 4-inch plowing threshold, while they have to reflect efficiency, and I understand that wholeheartedly, I want to make sure we're also taking into account the safety of our first responders and the residents they're serving. So welcoming future discussion on those types of thresholds and whether they're still meeting today's needs. I want to remind the community that council, serves as the governing and legislative body of the city. We're here to set policy, provide oversight, and safeguard transparency and accountability. Please continue to reach out to us. It is our role to listen, to evaluate your concerns, ask questions when needed, and act responsibly and ethically. So I just look forward to going into the new year, working together, ensuring our policies and communications uphold the safety and well-being of our community. And to kind of piggyback on Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke, finally, to all of you who are celebrating, I want to wish you a warm and bright Hanukkah. And to everyone in our community, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I wish you all a safe and restorative season. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Spishak. I'm gun shy.
Okay. It's okay.
Right? It took me, 2 meetings? I'll get it.
I've been called worse, so it's okay. I just want to take the time to thank everybody for their support when it came to the appointment to the current council and mayor. Thank you guys for your support, and to everybody out there who supported me. Definitely a special thanks and shout out to my wife, Beth. I would not be here without you, and you are absolutely amazing, so thank you. And to everybody else, happy holidays, and I look forward to the next year.
Thank you. Councilmember Tinlin.
Now, do I get 4 minutes or? No. I'll just keep it short. Everyone have
Santa
a
told me
great-
to give you just 2.
2, and some coal too, right? So just a happy holidays to everyone. Enjoy your families and friends. And we'll some of us are going to be at the Hunter Christmas lunch on Thursday, so hopefully we'll see some of you there. So have a great season. We'll see you in the new year.
Excellent. All right. I have a couple things I want to address. First of all, during the Friday feedback, the city manager pointed out that he felt that there were some times where the council was not acting with transparency during the conduct during some of the meetings. And back in October of 2024, when we were talking about the ordinance that governs how the agenda is prepared and brought about, there was specifically my concern about some of the verbiage in that ordinance. So to that end, I would like to make a motion that discussion on Ordinance 789, specifically Section 2-35, be placed on the first meeting agenda in January. If I can get a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion about that? Roll call, please.
Hold on. What is it? Why don't you explain to the public and to your colleagues what this is?
This is the ordinance that discusses how the agenda is prepared. It was modified back in October of 2024, and I think it merits some review by the new council and discussion. So that's Ordinance 789, Section 2-35, the agenda.
will say this, it will be on the second meeting in January because you have a full dance card on
That's fine.
6th.
That works. Thank you. If it passes, roll call.
I'll put it on there without even a motion. How about that?
Well, we have one on the table, so let's go through the motions.
Or you can withdraw it.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Spisak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltman,
Yes.
All right.
Councilmember
Thank-
Rinkovich.
Oh,
Yes.
sorry, gosh. All right, so we have passed a motion to add the ordinance 786, section 2-35 on, and it'll appear on the agenda on the second council meeting in January of 2026. And then I have some items from our different departments that I want to share with everyone. So on Saturday, December 27th at 11 a.m., the library will be showing the movie Home Alone. Home Alone, if you don't know what it's about, because you living under a rock, accidentally left alone, a plucky 8-year-old stands ready to defend his territory when a pair of bungling burglars set their sights on his house. Please register at the library to attend, and popcorn will be provided. Then also, we have from the Parks and Rec, Councilmember Tinlin mentioned the Santa lunch for the 18th, which is sold out, and I understand that you will be serving, so as will Councilmember Rinkovic. So kudos to them. So it's sold out, but if you're going, have fun and make them bring you lots of water and coffee. On December 30th, noon Year's Eve luncheon with singer Olivia Van Gore is taking place at the Parks and Rec. And then also please know that the Hunter Community Center will be closed Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for both weeks to celebrate in Christmas and New Year's. The last day the museum will be open for this year is Saturday, December 20th from 2 to 5, and they will reopen in February. And that is that. And I also would like to wish everyone happy holidays, however you celebrate. I hope you have joy and peace and rest and fun, and wishing everyone a prosperous 2026, hashtag 2026. Looking forward to what the new year can bring us. And with that, I would request a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Spisak,
Yes.
Councilmember Tinlin,
Yes.
Mayor Moffett,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem O'Rourke,
Yes.
Councilmember Peltman,
Yes.
We are adjourned.
Wait.
Councilmember Rinkovich.
Oh my gosh. I will get better at that. I'm going to make a little counter so I can count. I am sorry. I want to thank everyone. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We appreciate you very, very much.
10 minutes over.